Good afternoon and welcome to Blacktown International Sports Park. It's a culmination of a huge day here in Sydney of representative football, and it's AFL Sydney up against the Victorian Amateurs, the VAFA, in what should be a cracking game of football. This is what these boys want to play. They want to get up, play with the teammates that they normally would play against, and really show what they're made of. As we get ready for the centre bounce, also like to welcome today is Michael Fitzgerald, Communications Manager of the VAFA. Welcome, Michael.
Afternoon.
As we get underway in the centre, straight into it, bottom of the pack there is Jared Wilkie. There will be no questions asked about the hardness of this contest this afternoon. Sydney really wanting to prove a point. From what I've heard, a very strong Amateurs team coming our way as Rampy wrestles it free. First inside 50 for Sydney. Quickly coming at the football. It's a lovely snap coming from Lewis Broome. And AFL Sydney get the first points on the board.
Indeed they do. A lovely swoop there from Broome, and made no mistake from close range. Very quick off the mark as the ball spilled to the ground, and the first goal on the board in very short order to AFL Sydney, even before the scoreboards start operating the time clock.
Lewis Broome from the St George Football Club in the AFL Sydney competition.
We've gone about a minute.
A very nice clearance from Dane Rampy out of the centre as Anton Lewis gets us back underway. Across the back it was O'Sullivan. Bull now with the football. Sends it to space. Ben Smithwick couldn't go with it. Oh, attack on the football. Just missing the tackle there. Second go came from Craig White. And he did well. Free kick will be the result. Coming back to Kalupas, vice-captain of the AFL Sydney side. Oh, poor kick straight into his opponent. Jack Watts does well to smother. Kalupas decides to have a second go. It's a rough kick, but it just misses the man. Trouble now as they continue to push it towards the boundary line. Pearson, little handball over the top. They'll look for a little bit of a reset here as Ben Taggart takes it over the line in front of his opponent, Paul Wintle, captain of the Victorian Amateurs, who won the toss up against Ron Wason from the North Shore Football Club, and will kick to obviously the left of screen or the western end of the ground. There's once again Rampy in amongst it early. Peeling off the back was Conway. Turnover comes. Dan Strawn kicks it inside 50. Floating across front was Jackson Eade. Could have got caught in the back there. Free kick not coming. Spinning out of trouble was Ferguson. Little handball. Sydney under pressure. Towing it. There was Dale Fitzgerald spinning back on the spot. I think that was
Jack Watts.
Eade. Jack Watts, was it?
Through for a minor. A turnover then from AFL Sydney down here in front of us, and the Vics went forward but could only manage the minor score under severe pressure.
So, kick out. Pearson sends it to space, edge of 50. Good mark from Fitzgerald. Fitzgerald continues in the same direction along the wing. Try to bringing it back into the corridor. Front position was Kalupas. Good punch from behind from Tardif. Kalupas around the bottom of the body. Sprinting through was Bull. Gets himself clear. Wintle. Bull back again. Going forward. Mark taken. Watts spins back around. Sends it towards the big man at full forward. And that being
Hanley.
And
Ferguson snapped a minor score.
Punch from Pearson. And Hanley's the target up forward. Now with Lee Conway. Kalupas. Ball doesn't travel far enough. Good coming across the front there was Tardif. Plays on quickly. It's a beautiful pass. Inside 50, scoring opportunity. Now will sit with Lockie Ferguson. One of the young guns in there, Michael.
Indeed he is, from the Collegians Club, playing his second full season of senior football. Not a bad kick, but this will test him.
So distance could be an issue here for Lockie Ferguson. So he'll kick from about 48 metres, already dropping his head. That's pushed across the face to the left. Wason just makes sure it continues in that direction. So it's one straight kick, 6, 3 behinds for the Amateurs. Rampy plays onto the far side. Has a man in space in Kennedy. Kennedy, good lead being provided there by Matt Carey. Carey, it's a low trajectory kick. It was out in front of Broome. Numbers now for the Vics. They find Bull. It looks like giving that handball off to Smithwick. They continue the run through the centre. Good tackle applied. They've done well though with Hill, spinning himself out of trouble. Now with Smithwick. Smithwick just carries a little bit too far on the toe from Wason. Pushing it forward now, Nick Roberts. Wason across the back, it's been caught. Boundary line wins that out, and umpire happy to see it sent back in.
It's tough out there at the moment. Plenty of pressure and preventing clean possessions.
Boundary throw in, good little nudge. Thrown down there, it was from Watts. Caught in front there and tied up well. Quick kick comes out of the pack. That came from Ryan Price. Across the back it was Neves, the ruckman. Playing back now. Free kick. It's coming back to Lee Steer. Lee Steer gets a little bit of run and help here. Decides not to use it. Loads up to the hot spot. Big fly from behind. Just went up a little bit too early. Handball. Danger here for the Vics. Running it out of defence. Kick was poor. Boundary line got there before the foot hit the ball, so it'll be a boundary throw-in.
Neither side displaying any great system going forward to this stage. But I think they're working it out, playing with fellows they usually play against.
Jeremy Keel was a man up forwards. Lee Steer wins that one down. The Vics were in the hole, though, and picked it up. Quick spin over the shoulder, K from Lee Steer as well. Rolls out for boundary line. Another throw in. Just a little bit of danger here for the Vics. Sydney looking to get bodies in movement around the play and try and set up a snap on goal. Numbers around the ball. Across the back, Rampy. Movement again. Now with Carey. Carey's been trapped in a tackle there by Zimbax. And Trent Zimbax just gets up there. Actually, that was Justin Perkins, vice-captain of the Vics. Across the top, Lee Steer, he was up against Pearce in that contest. Both teams here just trying to break free. 6.5 minutes in, 3 points the margin. First quarter here. One down by the Vics. Jeremy Keel across the front. Wintle. Handball coming up from Smithwick. Under pressure, O'Sullivan. Very elusive here is Jack Bull. Through the boundary line they work it. Strawn finds a target in plenty. Summers out in front, missed the target of Tardif. This could open things up for Sydney. Rampy gets the run now, coming from round, hitting it at pace. Poor disposal though, misses. Keel struggles to try and get the ball free. Both been caught with a ball, and the free kick will come back to Jack Bull. Bull decides to go to the far side of the ground. It was a 2-on-1. Teammate did well. Turnover comes. Forward they go through Ericsson. Ericsson finds a target in Lee Steer. Shot on goal comes from Rampy. Rampy pushes it to the left, and it will be a behind. Dane Rampy looking good to start this game off for AFL Sydney. Vics goes straight up the centre. Target was Tardif. Bounced before him. Almost gets caught. It was a good run down from Keel. Continuing to push in that direction was Rampy. Numbers are getting there for the Vics. Across the top it was Perkins. Looking for the free, and they get it. It was actually Baxter there with a free. Poor disposal. Carey sends it up high. Float. Just out of bounds on the full, and the free kick will come back to the Vics. Lewis not happy with that one.
Disposal pretty ordinary at the moment. I'd suggest they're making turnover errors on short passes. They seem to be. Perhaps both teams need to perhaps go a little bit longer and a little more direct.
And the boys would be ramped up at the moment, or amped up. As the short ball comes through to Hill. Hill, not the best of kicks, as Michael's been alluding to. The skills, turnover, not going to be costly. So poor kick there from Chris Eriksson. Push it to the left, there was no pressure. Should have made better of that.
Once again, a poor short pass when a long kick, and Hill is a long kick, and could make use of that big left boot.
So kick out, the edge of 50. A little bit tidier here from the Vics. Long way from home as they continue to work it down the boundary. Had 2 targets, went past them. Front and centre though, good work from Bull. He's been caught there. Good tackle applied from Ryan Plant. Sydney's got a target centre of the ground. Kick's not going to carry long enough. It didn't find Taggart. Roberts. Now, little handball came up.
Strong.
And back again to Roberts. Roberts, edge of 50. Good judgment there, or poor judgment from Sydney. Found Ferguson. Ferguson, poor disposal. Collett with a little handball up. They're through the centre here, Sydney. Pick up there came from Price. Price was Kennedy. Bodies flying. Perkins sends it forward. It's a rush kick. Will it sit up here for Eade? Continues to get some treatment. Rolled over. Free kick's the result.
Bit lucky there.
I thought he might have held on it a little bit longer than what he had.
Roberts was waiting there for the feed off, but Jack Watts held onto it. He did get hit around the head and has the free kick. And he's a fairly good kick for goal, Jack. You'd expect him to score this.
So, Jack Watts. Shot on goals. Kicked 12 goals this year. And that is a sensational kick straight through the middle. Jack Watts gets the first goal this afternoon for the Victorian Amateurs.
Yes, well, they made full value of that one going forward. Both teams have missed opportunities that they've had turning it over too easily. But that time, Watts got the free kick and made no mistake from inside the arc.
So the lead goes back to the VAFA. It's 1 point. 1 goal, 3-9. AFL Sydney 1 goal to 8. Good start to this contest. A little bit messy all over the ground at the moment with the skills. Rolling through, nice little handball. Conway trying to find Collett. Collett punches it off the ground, coming through as right. Right eventually gets it with a second effort. Ducking under, 2 players missing. Ball going out in the front of Conway. It was Plant at the bottom of those ones. Goodall tries to wrestle his way through. He's been slung to the ground here. I think free kick coming back to Goodall. Disappointment for the Vics. Goodall. He's got a good lead coming from Matt Carey, his teammate at Pennant Hills, and picks him up. And Carey will kick 45 degrees. We'll have to kick it from about 50 metres out. Good kick, Matt Carey. And having a good year, Pennant Hills, so they'll be riding a little bit of confidence coming into this game. Carey looking for goal number 2 for Sydney. But distance, not a problem, but direction pushed to the right.
Lucky let-off for the Vics then.
Play on quickly. Football with Madden. Poor kick though. Sydney couldn't control it. Bottom of the pack. The dish comes out the back for Summers. Good intensity shown by AFL Sydney, being wrapped up. Their midfielders have gotten back and helped out, and their forwards are picking up men. Little handball comes through quickly. They go long. Target is going to be Lee Steer. Comes through the hands though. Doesn't roll over the boundary line. Recovery now for the Vics. Danger here. Broome coughed it up. Back with the Vics again. Starting to run it out of defence. Dangerous kick. Good work finds O'Sullivan. Just need to settle things down here a little bit for the Vics. They've got the captain on the far side in Wintle. Wintle uses his teammate in Perkins. Moving it down the far wing. Good turn of foot, comes back and finds a man running back through Watts. I think that was right, coming through for the punch. Falls out the back to Handley. Handley, the big fella, couldn't get it to foot. Peeling off now, Sydney. Handley getting involved. Pearson under pressure. Chip kick. Just manages to travel far enough and find Matt Round. One of the smallest men out there, but a very big heart, Matt Round. Just trying to find some room at the moment, AFL Sydney. Collett with the trusty long left boot. Just falls short there of Dane Rampy. We'll have a boundary throw in on the far wing.
Yeah, they slowed it down then, but kicked the ball out of bounds, which was not the desired result at the end, I don't think. They would have liked to have moved it on down the park.
Even game at the moment, 1-3 apiece. Coming across the back there was Neves. And Rampy and Ball. See that one over the line. The boundary throw in, centre wing. Blacktown International Sports Park. It's an absolute treat this afternoon as the sun goes down in the distance for this twilight game. Dish out the back, finds Summers. Bouncing ball, now sits with Watts. Watts sends it to the spot and out in front.
Eade.
It was Jackson Eade. Took a nice mark just on the corner of the square and should slot this one through. And doesn't make the goal umpire work. And second straight kick of this afternoon goes to Jackson Eade.
Eade played in the under-23 team last Sunday and kicked 6 goals, so his confidence will be sky high. He is the only player in this team that is not playing in Premier football in the VAFA. He's playing in Premier C with old Camberwell. So a feather in his cap to get a game after last week, and he started very well.
And football runs in the blood.
Absolutely. Son of Rocket Rodney Eade.
Good man. Rocket spent some time up here in Sydney. Did some time coming down and helping out with our local clubs on a few coaching nights, which is fantastic to see the elite get down and help out grassroots football. So the punch comes out in front. He's been electric so far. Jack Bull, what can he do? He runs to the edge of 50. Disappointing kick though.
It was a disappointing finish. He looked good, and you'd normally expect him to kick those.
AFL Sydney now. Kieran Wright, fill-in medalist, best and fairest in the AFL Sydney comp last year. 2 go out for the punch. Sydney keep their feet on the ground as Rampy sends it forward. Broome, he was electric to start, up forward. Broome, what can he do? He collects, but good work to get the football. Just kicking it to the right of goal. So 1 goal, 1 his return so far. Finds a target on the edge of 50 there. Wintle looks to clear it to space and does so. The run there coming from Nick Roberts. Roberts just had to prop there was Watts. Gathers though, sends it to the hot spot looking for Handley. Handley couldn't pull that one in. Good spoil coming. Ericsson amongst it for Sydney. Spinning through was Conway. Here comes Strawn. Strawn sends it to a target. But good work, use of the body there was Craig White. White, disappointing kick, falls short of the target. Across the top, the tap from Taggart. Back position, they've got some men there now in trouble as Conway. Plenty getting through. I think that might have been Fitzgerald. Bottom of the pack there is Dan Strawn. The umpire says he'll have it, he'll ball it up.
Plenty of pressure there, plenty of solid tackling, and making it very difficult for players to find teammates.
Well and truly an arm wrestle in this first quarter. Strawn tries to gather, they peel off the back. Good run coming from Smithwick. Actually, sorry, it's from Roberts. Spins back inside. He's got a teammate running for him in Hill. Hill sends it to the hot spot. The wrestle ensuing. Pearson gathers. Now they start to move it through the centre of the ground. They've got another target there in Conway. Conway's got Rampy. Oh, puts him under a little bit of pressure there. Hill chases him for the Vicks. Fitzgerald has Wright. Wright, good run. Kieran Wright just has to pull up. He's got a target on the wing. Decides not to use him. Goes inside 50. Carries over the head. Keel was the target. But ball just fell short and he's wrapped up there. Is Jeremy Keel.
New South Wales, AFL Sydney got good numbers back there in that previous attack from the Vicks and cleared it away and have worked it forward, but now the Vicks clear.
Peel comes off from Perkins to Rogerson. Good mark there taken by Hanley's. Worked a little bit further up the ground now. Eade was the target. Got a little bit of a shove there from Fitzgerald. Umpire sees it. Free kick will come back to Jackson Eade. Make him work a bit. Jackson Eade just decides to square things up a little to Summers. Summers then loads up forward. Just went over the fingertips of a Sydney player in Ericsson. Kick comes out, but it's going to be across the face.
Watts again, and another minor.
So Watts managing to get his foot to the ball. The kick out comes from Round. So it was Lee Conway, now with Round. Round finds Rampy. Rampy was going to look in the direction of Wright. Eventually has to go there. Coming across was Ball. Gathered up was Hill. Hill inside 50. The punch came from Ferguson. Good run coming from O'Sullivan. Sold a little bit of candy. Shot on goal is true. O'Sullivan kicks his first for the afternoon.
Yes, O'Sullivan, who was the under-23 captain last week, promoted after his best on-ground performance against Western Australia in the AAFC game. Does not look out of place here. He's a real star, uses the ball beautifully. Plenty of precocious skills on the young fella, and that was a lovely finish.
Yeah, 6 games so far this year for Caulfield. And return of 5 times. He's been named in the best, so he is working for them at the moment. Only 21 years of age, so an up-and-comer. Not too bad in front of goal, 11 goals. Just averaging under 2 goals a game at the moment. Kalupis tries to wrestle the ball. Just sitting on it there, and umpires do not like if you're not making an effort. So the free kick comes AFL Sydney's way as they peel off. Carey looked like he was going to be the target. He was out in front. They went to the second man in Taggart. Carey had a bit of a swing. Broome, what can he do with this one? He's been tackled brilliantly. Tied up very, very well. And the free kick will come back to Zimbacks. Zimbacks cross to Perkins. Then with Ball. Numbers now. Good run coming from Perkins. Out in front, Rimington. Now with O'Sullivan, sending it forward. Madden does well. Cutting back in front of his opponent there, and Kieran Wright, very disappointed, was Wright. But it was just Madden that saw exactly where it was going to fall. He had that little bit of extra carry to get on the fat side. Madden, distance, got very close to the mark, but a beautiful kick straight over the goal umpire's head. And Madden kicks the fourth for the Vicks.
Yes, indeed. That's Josh Madden, the son of former Essendon great Simon Madden. And looks a lot like him, moves a lot like him. If you can pick him up, number 12, wearing the big V today. Some nice work through the middle of the ground there. And the Vicks going longer look the better team now.
So starting to open up a little bit of a dangerous gap here now. 3 straight kicks. It's 18 points the margin. The Victorian Amateurs, they're 4-4-28. AFL Sydney 1-4-10. Back in the centre as Purse went without it, jumped a little bit early. Floating across, caught under pressure was Goodall. Spinning through bodies was Ferguson. Man in space there with no one on him was Dan Strawn. Danger signs here for AFL Sydney in this first quarter. We're coming up to 24 minutes. To make that 25.
Bull, Ferguson and O'Sullivan have been outstanding small players on the forward line.
Dan Strawn shot on goal. It's going to fall short. Went through a lot of hands there to find its way over the goal line. So Dan Strawn just the one behind. So Pearson decides to go long. It's not going to carry far enough. The big ruckman in there was Neves to take the mark. Inside 50, Handley was the second man. In front he had, I think it might have been Rampy. Spins back to Hill. Hill with a shot on goal. They're starting to open up now. The Vic Amateurs, Lockie Hill.
Yeah, lovely goal from Hill there. A nice passage, reading the ball off hands, and a chain of hand passes ended with Hill, who slotted from 30 with great assurance there. He's been a very good player with Old Scotch this year and enjoying his first injury-free season in some time. So 5-5-35, leading AFL Sydney 1 goal 4-10.
Very good at the stoppages and the centre clearances at the moment. The VAFA is starting to work themselves with a bit of momentum. AFL Sydney, they need a goal quickly to settle this quarter. Ruck contest and coming straight through. Summers gets it back again. Out in front of Bull. Continues to travel. White getting there for AFL Sydney. Keeps it in. Max Collett dishes one back. Conway sends it to the edge of 50. Broom is the last man in the pack. Has played on. Gets it on the outside of the boot. How's it going to roll? It's not going to roll far enough. Sits up, don't know about that disposal there from Price. Has a second go, surely not.
Lovely snap.
Ryan Price with a snap in the pocket. Much needed goal for AFL Sydney.
Well, that's a big lifter, isn't it? And Broom did some magnificent work down in the corridor. Slipped around, his kick left a bit to be desired, but Price ducked and weaved, daddled and doodled, and finally snapped it over his shoulder for AFL Sydney's second goal.
AFL Sydney just at the moment still looking for a target up forward. They've got the rucks changing at full forward at the moment in Lee Steer and Ericsson. And we find the young fella on there at the moment, Sam Dagliabue. So haven't come into this contest with a true full forward out of the competition. So ruckman changing, looking for a bit more action from the small forwards. Goodall wrestles it free from the centre. Sydney getting a clearance, much needed. Could have got one high there, get away with it. Rolling through was Summers, and now they've got numbers on the far side. Tardif through the centre at Smithwick. Danger signs here. Neves, it comes crashing down. Ron Wason running through. Sydney captain sits with Round. Running through was Plant. What can they do with that one? They're going to kick it straight through to one of the big men. Disappointing result there as Purse gets back and cuts it off for the Amateurs. Zimbacks clears to the far side. They work the boundary line. Now with Neves. Neves is going to bring it back to the edge of the square through the fingertips. Poor kick, could be costly. Collett, though, couldn't control it. Losing his footing there was Keel. Trying to get to the football again is Collett, looking for the free kick. Doesn't get it.
Nice pressure from Perkins then, just when AFL Sydney looked as though they'd go clear into attack. But the ball is coming.
Umpire off the ball has called a discussion ensuing. So, don't think he was too happy about that decision, but in the back, Collett sends it. Lee Steer, he's got a little bit of room to move. Goodall brings it down, floating across back. Conway, beautiful kick, slots it through the centre. Much needed goal for Sydney.
Yes, it was a nice pick from Conway there. Grabbed it off the pack and never looked like missing as he took his time and put it right through the middle.
Important couple of kicks there for Sydney, Michael, as the VAFA started getting a little bit of a roll on there, so it brings the margin back to 13 points.
Yeah.
If that margin opens up, you could see that the Sydney boys might get a little bit worried from the big brothers down on Victoria.
Well, I think they've done well. The last couple of times they've stemmed that forward movement out of the middle from the big V, who had taken it over entirely in the centre. It looked as though they had about 7 fellas around in the centre square there, the big V. So great was their dominance.
So once again, they're winning it through the centre, but the turnover goes to Goodall as the quarter-time siren sounds. So that last shot from Conway, even more important, as they get the margin back to 13 points here, AFL Sydney, but it's the VAFA out in front. They're 5-5-35. So AFL Sydney 3-4-22, an entertaining first quarter of football, in almost some danger signs for AFL Sydney, Michael, but things started to settle down there for AFL Sydney as the Amateurs got out to a bit of a lead.
Well, they'd be pretty happy with that, I think, the way they finished that quarter, because they after that the beginning with Broome flashing through and kicking the first, he was pretty much shut down, I think, by Trent Zimbak's deep in defence for the Vics there. But while Victoria dominated the middle part of that quarter, AFL Sydney, as I said, staunched the bleeding in the middle, went forward a couple of times themselves and kicked majors to get some respectability back on the scoreboard. And I'd say at the moment they've got the momentum as we go into the second term.
And it's up forward. It's Watts and Eade that have been creating the danger up there. We thought it might have been Handley, which would have been a tough to control up forward, but I think Ron Wason doing a good job for AFL Sydney, keeping him under control. But it seems to be a game, the small forwards and the on-ballers getting through to get the goals at the moment. For AFL Sydney, it's 1 to Broome, 1 to Conway, and a single to Price. And for the Amateurs, it is O'Sullivan with 1, Hill, Madden, Watts and Eade. We might take a short break as we're here at quarter time. 13 points the margin here. AFL Sydney up against the VAFA. Welcome back here for the second quarter. Blacktown International Sports Park. As the sun goes down, the lights are on. And it looks a treat out here this evening. Ground has held up well. Third contest on here for this afternoon. A representative weekend. And it's the Vics, they're out in front, 5-5-35. AFL Sydney 3-4-22. 13 points of margin as umpire Lewis gets us back underway. Goodall drops one out. Wilkie through the centre they go. Conway bringing it back inside. Lee Steer tried to gather, couldn't. Starting to mop up now. Victorian, Remington making his captain work very hard. That floated a little bit too far for Wintle. And there will be a shot on goal here for Ben Taggart. Also welcoming Craig Abercrombie into the commentary with us. Also joining Michael Fitzgerald, communication manager from the VAFA. Welcome, Craig.
It's good to be here as Ben Taggart lines up. He's a goal kicker out there at Balmain. He'll like to see this go through the middle, get him off to a good start.
Oh, called him into that one.
And they needed that. That would have been a really important goal had that been scored, but never looked like it.
Well, just missed the lot on that occasion, so disappointment there for Taggart. And this is going to be a disappointing kick as well, straight down the throat of Dane Rampy. Danger signs here for the Vics. Good, strong lead, but floating across and spoiling was Jack Bull. Good job out in front here on the chase is Baxter. Baxter happy to see that one over the boundary line, so still in some danger here for the Vics. Sydney have come out.
Some skill errors there, Michael, that the Victorians wouldn't be happy with.
Yeah, no, they're a bit sloppy, a bit loose. Need to get their minds on the job.
Tagliabue in the ruck for Sydney. Conway gets it over the shoulder. The hot spot here for Keel. Two coming at it. Wintle, they both had eyes for the football. Good courage being shown. by both players there. Lucky to miss each other and not turn that into a bloodbath.
Indeed, they both missed the ball too.
So brought down, Lee Steer, crushes the pack, gets it on the toe. Goodall keeps it in. Handballs it back inside. Ducking under is Tagliabue, but the check side. Big ruckman couldn't bring it back.
How did he get under that?
Floats it across goal. He's coming off here. He's got some blood on the hand. Not sure if it's come from elsewhere. He's got a bit of a gash on the head there, I think. It was copped one above the eye or on top of the head, just on the hairline. Running away with it now, Zimbacks. Handball found Neves. Through the centre they go. Summers forward through Perkins. Target across the back was Eade. It was Hanley that did a good job in front position to hold his man off, and Jackson Eade floated across behind. Uncontested mark inside 50. He'll kick from about 45 metres out from goal. About a 30-degree angle he'll have to deal with.
Yeah, nice call from Eade then, and Hanley, as you say, did enough work to ensure that Eade got a clean run at it and should kick his second.
Similar hairstyle to Rocket as well, as Eade's shot on goal. They celebrate. Eade showing he is got plenty to show this afternoon. He kicks his second and proving to be a fantastic target up forward. Himself and Hanley and Watts showing that if one's caught out, there's always another one to back up there, Michael.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a pretty good forward line there because Watts and Hanley can take big catches. Eade's probably a better leading player, but has been known to be pretty strong overhead himself as well. So there's a bit of versatility there, plus a couple of small forwards in Ferguson, Bull, doing damage all around that inside the arc.
Back in the centre, the win comes down from Ericsson. He's been pinched there by Summers. He's been very good through the centre. So was this man in Remington. Remington sends it towards Ferguson. James Ferguson spins back around on his preferred foot. Sets it up for Remington. Good run from him. Now comes the lead from Eade. Just had to prop a little bit there, which put him in the untoward position. Pearson gathers, handballs off. Conway back through the centre. They're going to look to come here. Handball to Goodall. Goodall rushed to finally get it on the boot. Winsell, he's up against Taggart. Rampy comes through to dispossess. Just knocked that one down. Pinched. Conway does well. Sorry, that was actually round. Lee Steer working up the ground. Sends it towards goal. Caught out was Broom, trying to hold his man. He's done well, but he's copped him in the... Oh, no, he's got it. So Broom quickly looks to dish it off. Getting there, I think it was Lease. No, it was Taggart he was looking for. Broom, second chance. Probably should have gone the first time. And they're away now, the Vicks. Long kick comes from Bull out in front of Ferguson. Ferguson shows a little bit of body there. Chasing was Kennedy. Kennedy just getting dumped there, just holding the hamstring. He might have done a hamstring there, I think, Jeremy Kennedy.
He went down very, very quickly.
Clutching at that right leg. Yeah, he could be down to only 3 on the bench now, which make it very difficult for AFL Sydney.
Yeah.
Jeremy Kennedy with a hamstring, looks like has gone on the far wing. Rolling through, Bull once again. Back to his teammate and ball, Roberts. Roberts spun back. Went without it, did Bull. Beats a man. Now he's going to kick it forward. Handley is the target. Pearson does well to punch. Wasing gets back to peel off and help out his teammate. They've got a man just in the edge, but he waited for it. Fitzgerald went without it as well. Danger signs as a handball comes from Rogerson. There was no one in the hole for them. Wason kicks it off. It lands nicely in the hands of Conway, and that will relieve a little bit of pressure. The big fella has to get there quickly in Ericsson. He's been caught with numbers, does well to get it back to Rampy. Rampy went without it. Pickup came from Conway. Slaps it back to Wilkie. Wilkie sticks it forward through the hands there of Carey. Continue to work it through Rampy. Wilkie caught heavy there. There's both of the boys are okay there. I think it might have been Purse coming through. See there as they start to bring Jeremy Kennedy the long trip from the far side of the ground.
I think they could take him off on the far side. I don't think he'll be coming back today.
Yeah, you think the smart option would be to take him off the side, but it looks like he's just going to hobble off, take the shortcut, let's put it that way.
A couple of bodies flying that contest and coming out second best there.
Not good news for the Balmain side to see one of their players injured here. Hamstring, as we suspect.
Could be a corky, I guess.
Just the way he went down, though, Michael, it looked sudden. It wasn't an impact injury.
Right.
One down front position was Wilkie. Carey tries to get there. The Vicks roll through it with Roberts. Roberts dishes one back into the corridor. The kick comes from Sydney. Which way is it going to bounce? Doesn't favour anyone. Eventually it sits up for Wintle. Wintle, handball came from Remington. Now they're away. Danger. Hill inside 50 looking for Reid. Didn't travel far enough. Fitzgerald wraps him up. Coming through it was Ferguson. Handball came from Watts. Looking to the hot spot here across the back, just holding position. AFL Sydney, can they mop this one up? Pearson got caught high. The free kick will come back. He was probably a little bit lucky, and Lockie Hill was probably unlucky in giving that away.
Tough third call there, Dan. I think Christian Pearson dropped his head and was lucky to get the free kick.
The run was a terrible kick. He was looking for Carey. Smithwick shot on goal. Fitzgerald, last man on the line, cleans up for Sydney. Conway has been getting plenty of it. Actually, that is Craig White. Finds Ryan Plant. Plant now goes the long option, but it's going to fall short. Kalupa's got there late. Mark taken by, that might be Watts. Watts straight into the hot spot. Eade. Pearson got in there. Spoiled for Sydney. Squeezed that one out there with Handley on top of Plant. Straight back underway. Tap down. Watts out of the pack. Off to the right. Jack Watts so far. 1 goal, 3.
They're struggling to go end to end, Sydney, aren't they? They're looking good, but then they're turning it over there and allowing the Vicks to clear it out.
Yeah, it's that sort of possession game that we see quite a lot of these days, where they try and avoid kicking to a contest, but turnovers just like this one will hurt you.
Hill has come off, being touched on the way out, so it'll be a boundary throw-in. You're hoping to see a little bit more of Kieran Wright at the moment across half-back. It's a little bit quiet from what he'd normally expect.
Yeah, usually, Dan, he's the ball magnet in that back line, just floating across the half-back line and picking up possessions at will, but we haven't seen a lot of him this game.
Just having to pick up the men with Pearson, Wason and Fitzgerald having the key forwards in Handley, Watts and Eade.
Good work by Kalupis. Bottom of the pack. Plenty of navy blues on top of him.
Directing the troops there, Kalupas, vice-captain, Sydney side. One straight down to Ball, who gets the kick away. Handley and Pearson go at it. Running free now is Craig White. Spots a man up in Plant. Plant is taking his time, hasn't got a target, asked to play on. Runs around the man, dangerous handball. Now they're in trouble, Sydney. They continue to peel back to Pearson. Conway's going to get a second chance. Actually, it's White. Just finding it difficult at the moment. AFL Sydney to get it forward. Collett provides a bit of run. The raking left foot does nicely. Wason's dragged his man up forward. Watts has to chase. Wason gets away. Dive from Watts, just got there to put him a little bit off balance. Broom runs into his man. He's come off second best there. Now a chance for Collett. Carey gets it on the left. Out of bounds on the full. will be the result. And that collision there with Broome, and I'm not sure who it is there.
Might have been Zimbax, I think.
He's just come off a little bit worse for wear there. You're Josh Madden.
Madden, is it?
It was.
The hurried kick, shot for goal then, and no score.
Good punch down from Tagliabue over Purse. One of the youngsters in for AFL Sydney.
Neither side at the moment really showing clean skills and looking like putting on some scores.
Lupus tries to wrestle his way through. Ball's just as good and wraps him up.
Now we've gone back to where we were in the beginning of the last quarter, I think. The skills are a little bit sloppy, and the checking and the pressure very good, making it difficult to get some clear team play happening.
Purse winning that one down over the back to a running Smithwick. So it was 2010 the last time that these two sides met at Elstonwick Park. The VAFA, they were dominant winners by 80 points that day. It was a massive third quarter that really got them away. Ended up 20 goals 11, 131 to 7-9, 51. And only two players from that game playing today, and Kieran Wright and Jeremy Keel for AFL Sydney. As Plant sends it forward. Lee Steer couldn't bring it in. Continue. That one's come off the toe. Opportunist goal to AFL Sydney, a very important one, coming from Ryan Price.
They had good numbers down there, and when the ball hit the deck, Price was smart enough to kick it off the deck and slot it through for his second.
AFL Sydney got it back to 13 points, the margin. It's the Victorian Amateurs, 6-6-42, AFL Sydney 4-5-29. Prior to that 2010 game, it was every 2 years these sides meet. And it was 2008, and that was at Henson Park. It's a much closer contest. It was only 5 points the margin, 13-8-86, 11-15-81 AFL Sydney. 6 players from that game playing today in Wason Wright, Rampy, Collett, Goodall and Carey. 4 of those were also in the under-23 development squad that year. So good to seeing the kids being able to progress in AFL Sydney as Smithwick peels off the back. Watts still with the football, gathers again, gets rid of it. Kieran Wright spinning through there with Smithwick, having another go. AFL Sydney couldn't get it free. That was Ericsson.
Wasted opportunity for the Vicks, I think.
So just a little bit clumsy into the back there of Ericsson. And they have a man here, AFL Sydney. Just holding it up here is Conway. And he sends it. One-on-one contest there. They couldn't free each other. It was Ball and Collett. Kalupis in plenty of space, centre of the ground. Just manages to fall before the Vicks got there. Carey probably should have taken it, just caught it at an awkward angle. Little handball comes out, but finds Price. Price, Goodall. Goodall gets caught, pulled to ground. Holding the ball, says the umpire, and the free kick will come back to the Vicks. Relieving the pressure there, good tackle applied. This kick is poor, though. It's going to go straight to an uncontested mark in Broome. Broome handballs to Round. Round couldn't get the distance, but he's picked up Matt Carey directly in front, 40 metres out from goal.
Yeah, bad mistake from Baxter then. Picked out Broome and could cost his team a goal here.
Yeah, Baxter just with a little bit of a skill error there, just dropped too short, was going for the long target. And Broome sitting in the spot just between the two direct opponents. So Matt Carey will look to straighten this one up. And they're happy with that one. AFL Sydney gets around from his teammate in Goodall, and Matt Carey kicks his first. 1 goal, 1 his return, but he's attempted out of bounds on the full with a couple of snaps as well.
All of a sudden, Michael, it's back to a 7-point margin, and they've sort of just chipped away this quarter, the Sydney side.
Well, they did in early doors. I think the Vicks looked as though they were going to start, open the floodgates a bit again, but we've gone 17 minutes. They've only added 1 goal from 2 shots, and Sydney has really taken over the game in the second part of this quarter.
Back underway with Neves in the centre, up against Ericsson. Goodall tries to wrestle himself free. Bit of an air swing came. Neves, the ruckman, does all his own work. It's an up and under. Can they get there? Good mark there was taken by Conway after pressure from Roberts. Got a man in Rampy in space. He runs inside 50, pumps the fist, gets it through for a goal. It's back to a one-point ball game. Here come AFL Sydney.
Unbelievable passage of play there. Nicely done and nicely finished by Rampy, who looks to be a very good player, number 9 for the AFL Sydney team. And if there was any doubt before, there's none now.
Yeah, Dane Rampy is one of the
right in this game.
Yeah, one of the key players in the AFL Sydney competition. Welcome him back this year, back to the Bulldogs. Spent some time, I think it was down in Victoria, and back, and he is looking all the goods. Rising star from a couple of years ago.
Great to see some of the talent bred up here starting to return. Win down from Ericsson after a second go. Big body-on-body collision there from Kalupis and Remington. Kieran Wright. Oh, a little bit of a dish there came from Round. Inside they go. Big fly came from Lee Steer. Mopping up nicely. Rogerson peeling off. Now it came from Summers, I think it was. It was Baxter. Handball settles things down. Vicks have a man in space in Strawn. Strawn, centre wing, far side of the ground. We've just gone coming up to 19 minutes past in this second quarter. Oh, here's a chance for the Vicks. Wason stands his ground. Does enough to get in front of his opponent there in Bull. Cleans up well, Wason. And gets it free and picks up White. White with a handball finds a bit of run there from Wright. Man in front is Price. He marks it well. Price spins back, tries to get the ball forward quickly. Lee Steer and Baxter, they're at it. Baxter and Lee Steer just managed to juggle that over the boundary line. Will come back for a boundary throw-in.
Vic's trying to do a little bit too much, I think, when they go forward, being a bit cute at this stage and turning the ball over eventually. Now what's happening here?
It's just umpire Anton Lewis overexerting the time on call, I think it was, Michael.
1 point the margin. Danger here for the Vicks. Spinning his way out of trouble was Ferguson. Now they've got some run from Zimbax. Over the top, it missed the target in Summers. And just some little skill errors coming out for the Vicks at the moment.
Yeah, you're right, Dan, and Michael, you said it yourself. There's just a few little skill fall downs, which is costing some run from the Vicks at the moment.
Well, they're under pressure, aren't they? We've played 20 minutes in this quarter. They haven't kicked away as they thought perhaps they might have, and they're feeling it at the moment.
The interesting thing to note is in the earlier game between the AFL Sydney development squad and the Farrer League, it was a 1 point margin at half time in that game too, and the Sydney boys came back and won that game. So let's see if that might be replicated in the main game.
A little bit more pressure here for the Vicks as far as the general contest. They came into this one as favourites. AFL Sydney going out after last 2 encounters, wins to Vicks, won a solid win down in Victoria. As Handley continues to wrestle his way, bouncing balls, trying to bring it back in. Numbers here, it's a slippery football as maybe some of that dew starts to settle on the ground. Makes this ball a little bit harder to handle as they bring things back to settle it up, and finds White. Came from Conway. Pearson.
Their back six has worked well today, Sydney. Really shut down a lot of the run and rebounded through the likes of Wason and Pearson.
Yeah.
Good old Conway and then Collett.
Pearson's done a great job on Matthew Handley and shut him down.
The stalwart of the side, or one of them, himself and Kalupis.
Interesting story. Christian Pearson took retired a couple of years ago on the back of 3 premierships with the East Coast Eagles, as they were at the time, and has been encouraged back down, lives over in the Balmain area, and encouraged back down to play a bit of football with the Dockers, and here he is playing good footy at a representative level as well.
Ferguson found Bull. Bull sends it forward. Watts shook off his opponent. That was Pearson. Now Pearson gathers. He's got a couple of men peeling off. One in Wason. Next man running past was Plant. Finds Round. Round with Collett. Back to Round. Good run from Sydney. Creating space up forward. Plant, centre wing, decides to go back to Collett. Round provides some run. They've got plenty of targets on the far side. Kieran Wright being the first. Wright loads up, tough kick. Got pinched there by Zimbax. Zimbax, Kieran Wright's going to get there. It's over the head of Watts. Lost his footing. Wason had to go. He got there. He just couldn't get enough of the ball.
Magnificent.
Watts spins back through, finds Roberts. Roberts plays on, jigging back through O'Sullivan. Back to Roberts. Roberts shot on goal, pumps the fist. Fantastic finish on the back of a turnover for the Vicks.
Well, magnificent work from Jack Watts there, and nice work to finish it off from Nick Roberts. But against the Tide, and did they need that, the Vicks?
Yeah, well, it deserved a goal. The build-up was very good by the Vicks. I thought they might have coughed it up there, but eventually the ball went through for the major. And they restore the margin back out to 7 points, but they'll need a few more of those just to be a little bit more comfortable going in at half-time.
Well, they talk about winning 50-50 balls, but I think that was about 30% chance Jack Watts was going to win that, and he did, and a goal resulted.
He certainly went in very, very hard and came out the other side in possession.
Good mobile, tall forwards that they've got in this side, the Vicks. And they're proving very handy and evasive up there at this point. So 7 points the margin. One down, clean handball from Ball, finds Strawn. Out in front, Watts again. Wason spoils. Back into the corridor they come. Handley held up well by Pearson. Continues to get a little bit of attention. Amongst it now is Lee Steer getting back to help out. Collett dishes one out. Pearson gets the foot to it, sends it forward. Plenty of space here for Summers. Summers will have a lot of time here to find a target. Goes along to the edge of 50, coming through on the spoil and picked up there by Round. They start to peel off. Plant in pressure. Eade applies the tackle off the boot. Just manages to squeeze it in there. Does Lockie Ferguson. They get a very important goal as we roll into the 25th minute of this game.
Yeah, nice work then. Good pressure all round from the Big V team. Keeping it in the zone, and when the ball plopped to Ferguson, he made no mistake.
Good work from the small forward there at the feet of the big man. Ferguson getting back there and helping out. And got a nice little goal as his reward. 1 goal, 1 his return.
Confusion on the sideline there. It was Shane Neves coming on, but he was on a run when his player came to do the interchange. He was about 60 metres away and had to sprint to the interchange to get back on.
Yeah, well, it's Matthew Handley that's come off the ground. Neves now, rather than going into the ruck, has pressed forward.
So this is where they've been very good in the last 5 minutes in the clearances. The shot on goal comes and falls short. Jacks, I think that was, yeah, Eade. Just getting a little bit of a nudge there. Wason on the 1-2 with Fitzgerald. Coming across now is Rampy. Rampy breaks through the tackle there of Remington. Kalupis gives it to Fitzgerald, to Collett. The build here, back to Kalupis. Shows a little to Ferguson. The long kick and the big
Free
fly
kick
from behind. In the back, it'll come to Taggart.
Against Madden.
Taggart's got Rampy. Just a little bit too far out. Rampy now looking for an option.
Vicks have got extra players back, so there's no use in just bombing long.
He hasn't been able to find one yet, so he's going to have to send it long to the spot.
He really has no other option at the moment. The Vics have just clogged up all holes, and they've got plenty of players on the line as well, so he needs to get the distance.
Rampy to the top of the square. Big fly from behind. Spoil came from Purse. Floats across and over the boundary line for a boundary throw-in. 27 minutes by, and 13 points the margin here. AFL Sydney managing to get themselves back into this game. The Vics with the last couple of scores start to edge away here as we close on half-time. Quick shot on goal from Round. Misses the lot. Out of bounds on the full, and will give the ball to the Vics with a free. Use the boundary line. Getting plenty of it has been Jack Bull. Now with Baxter. Baxter, long pass to centre wing. Just edging his opponent out there was Pearson. Pearson's got some targets on the edge of the square. The first one he finds is Rampy. Now getting from run from Plant. The ball held up. Neves cut it off nicely. Danger signs now as they go forward through Ferguson. Eade was the target. Fitzgerald brought it to ground. Shoveled out the back. Trying to get it to the dangerous inside. Neves caught with it.
Went in the back.
Got away with it, did Rampy. The Plant starts to run forward. Round was the second one of the contest. Front man was Remington. And he did well to bring that down to ground. Summers goes long. Broom tries to run through and spoil the contest. Just square things up through the centre now. A couple of little handballs. They like to keep the ball moving, the Vics. Bang they go. Target is hit in Watts. And Jack Watts on the end of a lovely passage of quick handballs through the centre of the ground will have a shot on goal as we edge towards half-time.
Yeah, there was no lack of confidence as they moved the ball through the corridor, then through the centre square, throwing it around with abandon, and the long kick, the long low kick, hits Jack Watts, who was on his knees, to accept it with glee.
Right as the half-time siren sounds, important kick here for Jack Watts to send the VAFA into the break. He claps, he cheers. Bit of a momentum lifter for the Vics as Jack Watts kicks his second. He's been a little bit poor in front of goal so far, but that starts to edge himself back. He's now 2 goals, 3. Another entertaining quarter of football. And they're out in front here, the VAFA, by 19 points over AFL Sydney. Well, gentlemen, another entertaining quarter of football. Bit of a run there from AFL Sydney, but the VAFA last 3 goals got themselves out to a nice 19-point margin.
Well, the time on period in both quarters has been a reversal of what we'd seen before. That quarter was really all AFL Sydney's until the last 6 or 7 minutes, when the Vics really hit back with a vengeance. The lead was into 1 point, and now they've kicked it out again to, what is it, 18 or thereabouts. And the Vics will be pretty happy with the way they finished, if not with the way they started.
It was good work out of the clearances. That's where they started to shake AFL Sydney free in that last 5-10 minute period. And they continue to work the short handball and plenty of numbers running the lines, and made it difficult in that last few moments there for AFL Sydney. But AFL Sydney did well. They've come back into the contest, as you mentioned, Michael. It was a good start to the quarter for them. And 19 points the margin here at Blacktown International Sports Park. So the Vic Amateurs out in front, 9-6-60. AFL Sydney 6-5-41. We'll be back after a short break for the second half. Welcome back to the second half. It's AFL Sydney up against the Victorian Amateur Football Association. Representative football here from Blacktown International Sports Park. And it's the Victorians. They're up by 19 points at the moment. It's 9-6-60. AFL Sydney 6-5-41. So we get straight back underway. Ericsson just loses his footing there, brings it down. He was up against Perth.
News from the rooms, Daniel Strawn, the Collegians player, midfielder from Victoria, will not return, has done an injury to his lower leg.
So it's not good news for the Vics. 1 down, back to 3 on the interchange. Little handball up from Remington, found Summers, shot on goal is perfect. The exact start that the Vics were looking for. Summers with a quick goal.
38 seconds into the quarter, a nice string of handballs finished with Summers, who kicked truly from 30, and a great start, just exactly what the Vics wanted.
So that will probably even things up now on the interchange, because if I look down I can see Jeremy Kennedy with a big bag of ice on his right hamstring, so we won't be seeing him back this evening either. So both sides are down to 3 apiece on the interchange. Ruckman go at it again. Kalupis runs around it, eventually gets a toe onto it. Gather there from the Vics, and they send it. Bit of trouble now as they run through the Sydney Siders. Kieran Wright spins back around, sends it, just looking at the target there. Spoil came from Summers, a goal scorer. Hard bodies at the ball now. What can Broome do? Shot on goal. It's not going to come back enough. And just to the right of the Majors. 1 goal, 2 for Broome. Baxter, dangerous kick. Just gets through the hands there of Carey. On his hands and knees, Pearce gets the disposal away. Working it through Wintle. Back to Baxter. Over the top. Boundary line just on the edge of O'Sullivan, sends it. Wright has a couple of goes on it and eventually gets it. They were looking for the 50 there, but didn't come. Wright, disappointing pass through the legs of Ericsson. Ferguson dishes one out. Behind the back it was Watts. Second go at it, Watts sends it towards Eade. The fly at front, Fitzgerald spoils. Handley gets through. It's come off hands there. There was a touch on the football and Handley, so it was just a behind.
Handley back on the ground, imposing himself straight away.
I don't think we've seen the best of Kieran Wright tonight, Dan. It was his turnover that caused that forward 4-0 for the Vics, and he just hasn't fired on all 4 cylinders tonight, the reigning Phelan medalist.
Unlucky there for Baxter. Thought he did a good job there on Lee Steele, but in the ensuing punch, trying to get a hand between the two of Lee Steele's, just fell awkwardly into the back. But a good chance here for Sydney side to get one back with Lee Steer, who his first shot on goal, and that was not pretty. And uncontested, no talk there. Should have been for the Vics. Kalupis on the back of a handball from Broome. Broome gets it back. Now with Rampy spinning himself. Collett, little left foot. Nice pass. Just shows a little bit of poise there, did Rampy, and found Matt Carey. And Matt Carey, he'll have to kick from just inside 50. Distance won't be a problem. We've seen him kick from the near side and travel the distance. Direction not all that good. So much needed goal here for AFL Sydney, just to get one back at the start of this third quarter. Carey, left foot kick. He's going to hang it out to the left.
Another player, Dan, that's not really stepped up to the mark of what we've used to seeing in the AFL Sydney competition. Matthew Carey, the dominant player for the Pennant Hills Club.
Wintle to Zim backs. Numbers getting back for AFL Sydney. Roberts gets there just in time in front of Conway. Roberts, dangerous. Kalupis got there with a spoil on ball. Ball got one a little bit high.
Yeah, I don't think
the kick from Roberts was just poor. It was a dead set floater and just set him up underneath the ball.
I don't think there was any intention there from Kalupis. He was attacking the football and unfortunately just clopped him a little bit high, and that's going to be a free kick against AFL Sydney.
So Ericsson getting over the shoulder there of Purse. A bit of ill feeling here with Wilkie and Ball. So Purse gets a little bit of help from a teammate. A short pass, continually work the boundary line. Roberts received from Tardif. Roberts has to play on. That short pass a little bit better. Picks up Summers. Summers, dangerous pass through the hands of Rampy across the back. Mopping up is Kieran Wright. Roberts gets there to spoil. Wilkie spins through, gets tackled, could get caught with the ball. Umpire lets him get away with this one.
Just a bit of ill feeling coming in between these two sides at the moment, Dan, and a couple of jumper punches and blokes just getting to know each other just that little bit better.
Just know that AFL Sydney have been asked to step it up a bit because they need to get some scores on the board and they need to really start to work themselves back into this game.
I think that was the case. That free kick was merely, let's break this up. We've had enough of this ball around this area, right in front of our commentary position. And he paid a rather sharp holding the ball.
Ericsson travels, Lee Steer, good pick up. Bounces himself out of trouble. Kalupa spears one through. Good little handball coming from Carey. Disappointing there for Ryan Price, though, out in front of Broome and out of bounds on the full.
Could have done more with that, but nonetheless, they'll have other opportunities.
Remington switches it. Finds Perkins. Little handball. Comes off. Zimbacks. In front it was Collett with the punch. Falling behind it was Rogerson. Boundary line, the winner.
It's opened up at a fairly furious pace again this second half. Both teams obviously very keen to get on with it. The Vics scoring that early goal to increase their lead.
All important third quarter football. Got himself out of trouble there again, was caught. These two handling each other. White. Now with Kieran Wright. Takes an uncontested mark, filling the hole.
It's the role we expect to see Kieran Wright playing.
Kalupas through the hands. Carey. It's going to come back for a free kick to Kalupas.
Quite sure what that one's for.
No, I don't think it was there. It was in his back.
Kalupas works it to the pocket. Lee Steer misses the lot. Through hands, happy to work it to the boundary line of Zimbacks. It's a little bit of a pat on the back from his teammate and Justin Baxter. Going to be thrown once again.
Lucas coming off for the AFL Sydney side with Goodall replacing him.
One down by Neves. Broome's around it. Rampy allowed to go on it on his own. Keel flies, comes to ground. Spinning was Ball. Caught by a great tackle. AFL Sydney.
Yeah, he was trying to get it off to that loose man, one over, but he was a bit too slow with it. And the Vics would have been away. We've now got a free kick in the goal square or a 15-metre penalty. I can't work out which.
Craig White.
I think it's both.
It's going to be a certain goal to AFL Sydney in any case.
Well, I was looking down at the time.
Can't say I saw it either, boys.
Zimbacks gets back on the goal line just to make sure of it. And Craig White will kick his first goal. AFL Sydney, that'll be their 7th. It just stems the lead, brings it back. That's some obviously ill discipline there. And a 50-metre penalty.
Very severe penalty in community football, the 50, where of course in the VAFA pay a 25-metre penalty. But I don't know whether that was a 50 or whether it was a free kick down the ground, so something may be happening in the goal square.
So 18 points of margin, back to 3 straight kicks. AFL Sydney just keeping in the game at present. VAFA continuing to be very good around stoppages as they get the clearance again through O'Sullivan. Numbers coming past, held well there by Plant. Got some numbers coming through at speed. Ferguson the first for the Vics. What?
Oh, umpire.
Well, it's been called as holding the ball. It was pretty hot.
A second, a third, a fourth magnificent effort from Ferguson went totally unrewarded. Watts kicked the ball through the goal, suspecting that Ferguson had been pushed in the back, and now we've got a 15-metre penalty. Not a good rule.
So Craig White, previous goal scorer, finds Rampy on a lead in space in front of Justin Perkins. And Rampy will have a set shot here. He's been one of the best for the Sydney side and needs to return this one to get it back to 2 straight kicks.
Be careful, Jack Watts. He's been asked to move out of the area, and he sort of acknowledged the umpire there, but he has made no attempt to get outside the 10-metre protected zone. Either way,
Rampy's been a very good player tonight.
12 goals in the regular season, and that's a fantastic kick from Dane Rampy. Number 2 for him this evening, as he proves to be one of AFL Sydney's best.
Well, once again, we thought the game might have been breaking open, and now it's back to 2 goals with AFL Sydney scoring those in a hurry with some penalties for some ill discipline or something anyway that the umpires viewed as same.
AFL Sydney, they need to keep in it here because, as we saw, Michael and Craig, in that as we ran into that second half, it was 3 quick goals to the Vics, which got them that half-time lead. And it was AFL Sydney that started the quarter well, so they need to make sure that they don't drop off. There's the win down from Neves, but the crowd converged on the loose football. Coming up with it was Ball. Again, they go at it. Misses both ruckmen as they body their way out of it. And I think Neves got that one forward. Roberts. Was Conway just jostling for position. A little bit of trouble here. A bit of a sitter, hangs up. Good work from Lockie Strong getting back.
Yeah, a lot of indecision there from the AFL Sydney boys. Not sure what was being presented up the ground, but certainly didn't want to throw it on the boot. Maybe that's the directive from the coaching box to not just do those throwing on the boot bombs up forward, maybe looking for targets. Here go the Vics again.
Good run there from Ferguson. Just fell into the right spot. They get tangled up there, does Watts and Wason. And Pearson just manages to...
He was a bit lucky he managed to carry that ball out, because I think he was about to give it to the Victorian player who might have run into the open goal.
Danger here for AFL Sydney. They've got some numbers back as they build a wall here. The Vics, 1 kick on. Ball rolls through, misses. Ferguson running through. He's a terrier at the football and has been dangerous around goal for the Vics.
Outstanding work again from young Lachlan Ferguson.
As we alluded to earlier, only 19 years old, Lockie Ferguson. The baby of the group.
A bit dangerous letting a 19-year-old loose in Sydney. Dan, away from the hometown.
Jack Watts snap on goal. Just hits the post, couldn't bring it back enough. But he might rue some of these misses, Jack.
Once again, Ferguson in all the action. The ball came out to Watts, who snapped and just missed.
2 goals for Jack Watts. Fitzgerald for AFL Sydney. Goes long, pack forms, numbers for the big Vics across the back. Smithwick, Bull, Purse, turnover. One-on-one contest, a little bit of a shovel out. Rogerson got away with that one. Not sure if that was a handball. Getting there to the bottom of the pack was Collett, just punches it forward. Once again, numbers for the Vics. Baxter sends it to the far side. Just missed the mark there, Rogerson.
They worked that well, the Vics. Just look for the small targets. Short kicks, now they're looking long.
Long from Madden. The hot spot. Watts is going to fly uncontested, floating across front. Couldn't hold. Pearson. Oh, good smother being applied there from Ferguson. He has been a shining light for the Vics. Just does not give up.
Need to get this clear of the defensive zone, the AFL Sydney boys. Get out of the danger zone and start to build scoring opportunity for themselves.
AFL Sydney got a couple over here in Conway on the near side of the ground. Goodall and Lee Steer. Actually, it's Taggart there.
Haven't seen a lot of Taggart today, Dan. It's one of the players I would have thought needed to step up in this side.
It's been a bit quiet across the forward line and half forward. AFL Sydney. A lot of it's coming from run from the midfield and getting forward. And the rest, a little bit of a backhander there, but this is where they've been sensational all night. It's just picking up the loose ball, the Vics, getting the front position, wrestling their opponents free and getting the kicks and the handballs away and creating space. This one out of bounds on the full, sits with Kieran Wright. Wright, one of those spearing passes to Plant. Getting some run from Wason. Wason steps back into the corridor. Don't know about this kick. Lee Steer probably should have taken it. He had to get past two to get to the position. Handball comes out. Conway caught by Roberts. Umpire said you had enough of that.
The pressure's on now, I think.
Free kick, the result. Ferguson just drifted over the boundary line in front of Kieran Wright.
He gave the boundary umpire a good look there. Just held it there for a couple of seconds. Are you sure? Are you sure? Okay.
Boundary thrown right in front of the commentary position here at Blacktown International Sports Park. One down by Ericsson, but numbers once again for the Vics. Roberts handballed it up to Hill. Hill gets the kick forward. Oh, coughed up there by Craig White. Far side is Fitzgerald. Got Pearson running for him. Decides not to use him. He's going to make his two teammates in Carey and Keel work. Keel is going to get it on the toe, put it forward. Only problem is Perkins is the only one there, and he plays for the opposition. And he sends it back to where it came. Bodies fly, slung to the ground there. It was Watts. He's okay now. Up they get. Forward again for the Vics. Handley was out in front. Came off the hands though. Pearson does well. Slung down there was Wilkie. He gets up okay. Head hit the ground pretty solid. Purse finds Plant. Purse spins out of it. Does well. Couple of little cheeky handballs. Lee Steer now cleans up for Sydney. Wilkie helped him out, but he runs over the boundary line to his own protest. Boundary umpire that is, was right in the spot.
Seems like we've come full circle, Dan. We were here at 10:30 this morning to watch the development sides kicking the dew off the grass. And just seeing a couple of players go to deck at the moment. Maybe the nighttime dew starting to form on the grass, making it a bit slippery out there.
Boundary throwing just outside of 50, attacking 50 for the Vics as they go inside again. The flies come. Handley collided with, I think it was Watts, and they've both come up a little bit sore for the contest, but they're up and okay now. Well, that went through the hands of Keel, picked up by Remington. Remington squares it up nicely and finds O'Sullivan as Kalupis was getting back on the mark. That could have turned into a 50, but umpire Lewis was okay with it. Plays on quickly. O'Sullivan looking for the lead to Watts. Collided there. Plant did well to get in front. Running away with it. Here's Ferguson again. What can he do?
Free kick.
Yeah, it's a free kick to Handley.
Yeah, shoved right in the middle of the back there, I think.
Not the response or the return that AFL Sydney were looking for. It'll be an easy one here for Handley.
I was just going to mention just prior to this that in that contest, Pearson versus Handley, you'd say that Pearson's on top at the moment, but here he is now having a shot on goal, the Vic Amateurs player.
He can get you very quickly, Handley. He can look to be out of the game, and you look up 5 minutes later, he's kicked 3 or 4. So
finally adds to his 2 behinds as he kicks that one well and truly into Snake Gully. Handley gets his first dangerous forward for the Vics.
Nice work from Remington, who was an SANFL premiership player with Woodville West Torrens last year. had a very quick look when he was under pressure on the flank and hit O'Sullivan on the chest to begin that forward thrust for the Vics.
Margin is back out to 20 points. 11-9-75 the Vics. Sydney 8-7-55. One down there for the Vics again. Handball just misses target in Bull. They've still got numbers here as Bull continues to paddle it. Now it's been pinched by Conway. Conway, low trajectory pass. Couldn't get it back into the spot. Conway gathers front and centre again. Has a shot on goal. Broome almost got a hand to it, but just the behind for AFL Sydney.
It's good work out here by Jason Kalupas to run down his player to cause the turnover. He came up a little proppy from the tackle though.
The Vics with Madden. Little chip, gets it back again. Goes longer this time. Pearson, man in front of Handley, does nicely. Plant. Dangerous kick. Result here for Rogerson. Ball bounces. Doesn't get the bounce he was looking for. Pulled to the left and Rogerson just a behind.
Let off for the AFL Sydney team there. They've been working that backline switch most of the night, and that 9 times out of 10 it's worked for them. That time the kick just hung up in the air and gave the Victorians a chance to chop it off.
Fitzgerald, a little bit of a juggle. Dangerous position. Well, they're making it hard for the little fella here in Matt Round. They've got some numbers now and a bit of run. Plant just decides to hold things up. Out of bounds on the full. Couple of silly skill errors.
He went back into the play. If he'd gone onto his left foot, he would have been away into the corridor where there were loose men.
It was just a lack of talk there. He had a free run at the footy and players around the ball didn't let him know.
Rogerson sent it towards Watts, who just pushed his opponent out of the way. Now working is O'Sullivan.
Once again, magnificent effort from Jack Watts on his knees, lunging at the ball to stop it escaping the area, and has caused another ball up.
As he works hard to trap that football inside 50 to Jack Watts. Pushing himself off there. O'Sullivan held up well by Kalupas.
Interesting story about Jack Watts, Michael. You were telling us before that he almost found himself on Fremantle's list this year.
Not this year. It was the year that the other Jack Watts was drafted. Every other club called the other Jack Watts. Fremantle called this one.
Went along with it for a couple of minutes on the phone as well.
They thought they had the right person, and there'd be plenty that argue that they had.
Kalupas held up. Strong tackle applied by Smithwick. And running back there is Perkins. Back underway quickly. Lee Steer along the boundary line. Rampy. Tried to just bang it forward. Came off the side of the boot. Out of bounds on the full.
Probably the worst result. He didn't get any distance on it, and it went out in the full. Came off the boot 90 degrees.
Kick comes from Smithwick. Well done there from Fitzgerald.
It is getting slippery out there, isn't it?
Yeah, you can just see the ball skidding a little bit, and a couple of the players, when they change directions, finding themselves on the deck.
Almost a nice little one-hander there from Collett. Ball almost got trapped. Goodall came in and buried his head like he likes to. Couldn't get out the other side. Two opponents catching him in that position. Goodall, bottom there again, trying to wrestle it free.
Interesting to note, Dan, you were mentioning, I think it was the 2010, there's only the 2 players out there from the, was it 2010 or 2008?
2010, only 2, but from the 2008 side, there's 6, but 4 of those were the development squad players, which was interesting. So they played in both the development squad and the senior rep side.
Which is to note for our Victorian viewers that the local competition a little bit different in 2012, in that the 2 local clubs, the Sydney Hills Eagles, formerly the East Coast Eagles, and Sydney University, now competing in the Northeastern AFL competition, which effectively probably takes out, we were talking before, Dan, probably 8 to 9 of your best players who would have been in this Sydney AFL rep side last year.
Definitely 9 East Coast and Sydney Uni representatives from the 2010 game.
And they are obviously ineligible now that they're playing in the higher competition in the NEFL. So it's a very good effort at the moment by the AFL Sydney boys to be just the 20 points behind.
Absolutely. We were talking earlier, Michael, that the Vics came in favourites to this one, and AFL Sydney, it just depends on their mindset. Are they happy just to stick with them and make it a close contest? But you can just see that maybe that mindset's changed as they were going through that second quarter, and they came out in the third here, really starting to push the Vics. Both of them struggling a little bit with their possession in this third quarter and effectiveness.
I think the conditions aren't as easy out there as they might look on screen and look to us, I don't think.
Rampy bangs it on the boot and gets that one forward. Spinning out of trouble. It was Madden. Continues on, does Madden. Gets a receive there from his captain in Wintle. Handballs over the top to Baxter. Baxter sends it to centre wing. Oh. Good pickup coming from Smithwick. Oh, he's coughed that one up. The ball is a little bit slippery. Squeezed it out of the chicken wing there and pops it up. And once again, out of the hands there of Hill.
Yeah, it's a bit of a shame. We're starting to see the ball get a little bit slippery. Some of the skills dropping off now. But it'll be interesting to see which team adapts the better and the quicker to the moisture that's in the air.
Fitzgerald sends it in Carey's direction. Wintle could have been caught high. Yes, he was, says the umpire. Free kick to the Vics. He's got a spread here coming from Rogerson. Not the nicest of kicks, but it'll work out okay, and they're away, the Vics. They've got a little bit of space, starting with Bull. Good lead coming from Ferguson. Ferguson over the top, good run. The Vics, now they've been caught out here, spinning around with Summers. Punch in front.
Jackie
Clever
Ball.
from Bull. Hits the point post.
Magnificent read from Bull off the hands there, and couldn't quite finish off.
Just saw in that passage of play a few chest marks. The players preferring to take the ball in the chest from the Vic Amateurs, and that's probably what needs to be happening as this ball gets a little bit slippery. 27.5 minutes into this third quarter.
20 points the margin. Danger here. Handley gets it on the boot out of the ensuing ruck contest and puts it across the face. So just a behind.
The Sydney boys would dearly love to get another one on the board here before three-quarter time. Just reduce that margin.
Biggest lead of the night, I think, isn't it, boys?
It's been fairly indicative of the contest too, that the margin hasn't gone above 21 points.
Tick past 28 minutes, coming to the close of this third quarter. 21 points of margin, 11-11, 77-8-8, 56. As Goodall, that one comes off the chest on a sliding mark. Wilkie does his best. Collett spins himself out of trouble. Has Plant with a little bit of space. Ball carried a little bit too far. Could have been taken without it there. Remington caught him.
Certainly impeded.
Now, what can the Vics do late in the quarter? Eade kicks it forward. Handley went without it. Not sure if Kieran Wright got a touch on it and just deflected. Over the hands there. Rogerson tried to mark. Watts almost spins himself out of trouble. Getting back as round for Sydney. Handballs it out the back. Just getting it out of trouble was Carey. The big man in Neves. Tackled by Broome. Contest important here. Lee Steer does well to gather his feet. Rampy needs to pick up. Handball. Finds a target in Round. Round sends it towards Broome. Broome brings it to ground. Couldn't control the mark. Ball's still slippery. Coming across it. Wintle spoons it out the back. Sure, high up and under. Will it land inside? It does. Stays in the boundary line. Just rolls to the edge of the interchange area in front of Lee Conway.
And they are really struggling with the slippery footy out there at the moment.
Yeah, I've just heard rumour that there's been an order of 2 boxes of Grippo to both the change rooms.
Local bowling club should be on their way any second. Oh, could have been caught there. Gets away with a good all. Almost high there, Remington.
Agreed with you there, Michael. It was a definite high or even in the back. Take your pick. It's Carl Fletcher, umpire in question at the moment.
Just pulled out of the road there. Lee Steer on his opponent, Purse. Purse just asking the question where the free kick was. Steer goes up early. The free kick comes this time. Oh no, it's going the other way.
Oh, don't you hate that when the umpire points the wrong way?
Well, I think that he knew there was a free kick there, but he wasn't sure which way.
Oh, the three-quarter time siren sounds in a very even third-quarter contest. It's 2-3 to AFL Sydney and 2-5 to the VAFA. The lead out to 21 points now. The Vics 11-11-77. Sydney 8-8-56. Well and truly a contest going into this last quarter. And once again, an entertaining quarter of football, but it's starting to get a little bit messy out there. The dew's starting to settle. Ball's getting a little bit damp, which is making it a little bit difficult from a skill point of view.
Yeah, you're right, Dan. It's we didn't see a lot of the clean skills that we saw earlier in the match in that third quarter, and it can only be put down to a little bit of moisture on the ground. Ball getting a bit slippery, but as you said, and this reflected on the score, it was a very even contest, but it'll be interesting to see what happens in the final quarter.
So we might take a quick break, and we will be back shortly for the fourth and last quarter of this representative match between AFL Sydney and the Vic Amateurs. Vic Amateurs out in front by 21 points. Welcome back to Blacktown International Sports Park. And it's the final quarter of representative football on a big day here in Sydney. Last of 5 games in total. It's the VAFA. They're out in front of AFL Sydney by 21 points, 11-11-77. AFL Sydney 8-8-56. And AFL Sydney, they've just continued to keep in it with the Vics. Interesting to see who gets the first goal in this quarter and how it starts to mount. As Hurst goes without it, Ericsson does well, gets it down to Goodall with a second effort. Broom in front, good punch coming from behind from Zimbax. Broom, clever, spins himself out of trouble, gets himself on the right foot. Captain back there to spoil. It was Wintle, great work. It's just ended up coming off for a rush behind. Good work from Wintle to get some coverage there for the Vics. So good start for Sydney. They'll be wanting to get an early goal on the board to try and build them into this game to finish it off strong. The Vics just settling things and maintaining that margin. As Rampy, it pops out of his hands. Keel, bouncing ball. Now picked up. Plant it was. Great tackle from Hanley, and Plant's in trouble. Numbers now getting back. Fitzgerald for Sydney. Sends it out in the path of Conway. Actually, it is Craig White. White then kicks to Conway. Conway props, jigs a little. Sends it towards Broom, but clever. Man, in front there was Zimbax. Oh, couldn't take the mark. Thrown off the football, and they're away now with Perkins. Perkins, good pass.
Once again, some fumbling, the dew very evident.
Remington to Rogerson. Just decides to hold things up for the moment. Gets a little bit of run there from Smithwick. Smithwick stakes out of it, lets Watts run at it. Watts wrestling the ball with Collett. Little toe came out of the back of the pack, and it was Remington standing there waiting to receive. Summers. Summers now goes long. Watts, does it keep it in? No, he doesn't.
He's just been everywhere today, Watts.
Yeah, very impressive display from the big fella.
What a big tank for a big fella. He has worked very hard across half forward, playing more the centre half forward role with Eade and Handley playing the full forward roles. Remington, he's been everywhere today and this evening. Front position there, it was Perkins. Sydney though, Broome once again the target, but floating back with perfect judgment was Will Tardif. Tardif kicks, finds Summers in space. Summers forward to Bull. Bull with a little chip, finds his man. Nice set of passes there, finds the target in Nick Roberts, who will have a shot on goal for the Vics.
Yeah, good ball movement by the Vics, taking the turnover at half back, and now 3 kicks, they're on a shot at goal.
Nick Roberts, shot on goals, kicked one. Just the behind this time. A bit of relief there for AFL Sydney. Christian Pearson.
It was a great effort from Tardif on the half-back line, running back with a flight to take that catch and push Victoria forward.
Short one to Craig White. Then to Collett. Collett finds Goodall just inside 50. Goodall. They work the near side of the ground. Plant just makes the distance to Kalupis. Got a lead here from Carey. Just looking to maintain possession here as they move it up the ground. Kalupis. Now they've got a little space and a man on the far side. The switch gets there through Craig White. He does well. White just runs around him. A little bit of a late push there. They get away with it. Poor kick, the result from Plant. Centre of the ground. The wrestle is on. Ball won't come free. So ball up.
Matthew Handley on the bottom of that pack, and earlier laid a magnificent tackle. He's had a dirty night, Matt Handley, but he's just an example of a player who keeps on going and does other things.
One down by Purse. Broome in amongst the pack. Goodall running past. Gets it on the toe. Gets a little bit of help from Kalupis. Great pickup. The drop of the football didn't work out for him. Carey, though, almost applied the tackle on Smithwick, who gets rid of the football. Purse spins. He gets rid of it. Rampy with a shot on goal from outside 50. How's it going to bounce? No need. It carried the distance, but only 4 are behind. Dane Rampy now evens things up with 2 goals to his return. Margin back to 20 points. Just over 5 minutes into this 4th quarter. A long kick to the boundary line. Travels the perfect distance to Tardif. Tardif has a man in too much space there. Summers. Target was Watt. Second effort was good. Ferguson's been dangerous. Fitzgerald does well, but that comes off the hand there. We all felt the sting on a cold night. Watt slung to the ground by Fitzgerald. Contest is on. Pearson. It was Ericsson. Now with Bull. Bull tries to the hot spot. Wason gets there to spoil. Floating across behind. It was Craig White. Just making it over the line there. Handley was hoping it'd sit up for him. The spoil from Fitzgerald. Pearson with the football for Sydney. White. They work it down the far boundary line with Conway. Conway was a good pass. Found Kieran Wright. Wright to Kalupis. Kalupis, low trajectory pass, bounces in front of Carey. Rampy trying his best, getting back to spoil as Smithwick. Broome amongst it. So Zimbax. Broome still trying. Zimbax gets the disposal away. Remington now clears it. Further up the ground is Nick Roberts. And Roberts takes a mark on the wing.
Really liked Zimbax's game today, Michael. He's been very strong down there in the back line.
Well, Broome showed from early days, didn't he, that he was going to be a dangerous player, and Zimbax has worn him like a glove and provided some great drive and achieved a few turnovers.
Bit of a hold there for Watts as he gets the free kick. Fitzgerald does well to smother. Conway getting in there, couldn't control the football. Wintle, left foot kick, just bounces inside the boundary line, so boundary throw in. Attacking half for the Vics, so pressure still on AFL Sydney here, 21 points the margin.
Yeah, time is going to be the biggest factor for the AFL Sydney side to get themselves back into this game. They really need to put some goals on the board.
Lupus wraps him up there.
Yeah, we're going on 8 minutes now, and Sydney don't look like bridging that gap, do they?
They just need to get one on the board and break the shackles. But at the moment, the Vics are just too good holding them out.
Running through Roberts. He's been getting plenty of it in this second half of football. Now with Summers. Summers loads up to the hot spot. Eade flies through the hands. Oh. Coming across the back, it was Zimbac's. Dangerous getting forward, taking Broome all the way to the opposite end of the ground.
He said Thursday night he might get forward in the late stages to try and snag one. Not quite successful there.
That's premeditated.
Well, it is by a couple of nights, and he may well be dragged for that.
Well, Pearson just played on there, but didn't carry enough distance. They get away with it here, Sydney. Erickson loses his footing as he goes to kick. Ball is going to fall out in front of Keel. Jeremy Keel, though, disappointing kick, send it straight down Wintle's throat.
Just not looking up, not looking for the options up forward, just bombing it long. And the Vics have got all the numbers back.
Well, Wintle kicked forward. It went straight through the hands of Neve. Smart work. Keel back to Collett. Collett, though, kick. Falls okay for Carey. Hung up a long time. He's got Broome in the centre of the ground. Goes to the nearer option in Plant. Plant couldn't take the mark. He's going to spin back. Loses his footing. Broome through the middle. Sends it to Carey on the edge of 50. Carey looking for a target. Was going to play on. Now starting to settle. Carey. Option wasn't there. He's now going to have to go back and have a peg.
Jeez, he'll need a good kick here. He'll be kicking from 55 at least. He is a good kick of the football, but this will test him on the distance.
A big test from Carey as he kicks from inside the square. Little bit of carry, but Vic's had the numbers there on the line. Through for a behind. Play on quickly to the far side once again. Madden. Madden just indecisive. Now he finds Remington.
Been very good in the second half tonight, Remington.
Remington, Fitzgerald just closed there and spoiled over the top of Ferguson.
Well, the margin's been 21 points now, or around about that 20-21 point margin for most of the quarter. And as you said, Michael, you just don't see Sydney stringing 2 or 3 goals together to bridge that gap at the moment.
No, they've lacked that dominating forward, haven't they, who can get them back into the game quickly.
It's always been a bugbear, not a bugbear but so much, but something lacking in Sydney footy is that real dominant forward. A couple of years ago, young guy, or young he was at the time, Matty Withers, was certainly the leading forward in the competition, but all teams in the AFL Sydney really struggling to have that real dominant, powerful forward.
Yes, the names that come to mind. Seebeck has been there, setting up forward for who it was then, East Coast Eagles.
He'll still tell you he's a ruckman, but
as always for Gus.
Hit 100 in a season, so
very tidy output for a ruckman. Not too many ruckmen can kick straight 100 times. They send it along here, the Vics. Pearson, the last on the line.
This umpire's going to call... They're going to have a
conference. Got to have a conference. Can't have a game without a conference.
Personally, I think he carried that over and was it behind.
Correct decision.
They've called that. I think Christian was reserved to that fact anyway. He just wanted to move the ball on quickly.
Pearson, dangerous kick here. Getting there just in time was Rampy. Calling out his teammate in Plant. Plant's run on for him. Left foot kick. Made it hard for Taggart. He had numbers all around him. Broom spins. Just sends the ball forward. Lee Steer wraps up his opponent there in Wintles. Brings him to ground. So stoppage the result. Going without it there was Zimbacks. Just can't squeeze it out. Bottom of the pack there. Plenty of bodies around.
Yeah, I think both teams now starting to feel the long day of footy.
Tangle there for Kalupis. Shoelace caught up in his opponent's boot there, and O'Sullivan. Punch forward. This is where they've been good. The run. Ferguson. The fly. Watts got there and brought it to ground. Fitzgerald puts it out in front of Conway. Conway getting chased by Roberts. Fitzgerald provides some good run. Couldn't get it into the position to hold. Turns it over as it pops out. Ferguson, he's everywhere. And he's there again. Good punch from Wason from behind over Handley. A little bit proppy, I think it's Watts behind play on the ankle. Conway sends it. White. Back into the corridor, he's got Lee Steer. Lee Steer from 50. Kick. Beautiful pass into the pocket. Came well and truly off the side of the boot.
It was the case from the sublime to the ridiculous there. The kick to go to Lee Steer was perfectly placed. Out in front, didn't break stride. The only time he broke stride was when he muffed up the kick.
Speaking of goal kicking full forwards.
Well,
goal-kicking ruckman, I should say.
That's a bit of the frustration of the night for AFL Sydney, is that they have moved the ball at times really nicely, but then been let down by one skill error on the end of the passage.
One down, Carey. Back to Collett. Collett, has he managed to snap? No, it's across the face.
Have you seen a goal this quarter yet?
No, Craig.
No.
Is the response.
What did we predict at three-quarter time?
We predicted
3 or less?
3 or less.
Another behind onto the score as the long kick out from Baxter goes straight to Lee Steer. He hands off quickly to Rampy. Rampy sends it. Another behind.
So it's 8:13, 61, 11:15, 81. We've played 13 and a half minutes. And we are looking for a goal in this very slippery final term.
The scoreboard clock just a little behind. We've got 15 minutes on our on-screen clock.
15:19, I know.
A bit slow down in the timekeeper's box or the scoreboard box.
So Plant looks for Carey. Ferguson mops up once again. He's getting around and about now. Is Lockie Ferguson. He's definitely going to be up in their top 3 as far as returns. Today he's been good up forward, good mopping up and back in this second half as well. There was, it was a play on. Thought there was another whistle. Handley gets up with the football, sends it forward. Watts in this position, floating across back. Pearson looking for the push in the back, but it's not coming. And Jack Watts takes a mark and should respond with a goal. Looking for number 3. Kick 2 goals, 4. We'd love to get a third to start to get things back to even as far as his return for goals and behinds this evening. Jack Watts been one of their best also, along with Ferguson. Kicks truly, number 3.
Yeah, great, strong mark from Jack Watts there. Hanley put it up to the point of the square and Watts read that off the boot beautifully. Just gave the push back off his opponent and took the grab to boot his third. He's been high among the best, Jack Watts, I'd suggest. Yeah,
definitely. He's had plenty of the football. His output's been fantastic. And working at both ends of the ground as well. As he's just been a step above. And a rightful reward for his effort there.
Shot of the Vic's coaching box there. Simon Lethlean. Once again, centre clearance comes. And they are inside again. Fly comes from Handley. Wason now for Sydney. Goodall getting back to help out. Puts it out into space. Gives his teammate a little bit of a chance to run at it. Round does well to gather. Props back inside. Getting there in time was Lee Steer, but probably should have taken it. Carey helps him out. Gathers, sends it to the hot spot. Kieran Wright finding some time up forward. Tackles his opponent there. In, I think it was Baxter, and it was. And rolling over the boundary line.
Simon Lethlean, the Victorian coach, might have played a few games in Sydney in 2003 or 4.
Certainly the name does ring a bell.
Early 2003 he came up here, but job transfer sent him back to Melbourne soon after he arrived.
Clearance from Hill for the Vics out in front of Watts, who's working very hard still into this last quarter and has played a fantastic role for the Vics across centre half forward and floating forward deep.
The 18.5-minute mark of this final quarter, with the margin out to 26 points now. You'd think that the Vic Amateurs are home. Goals have been hard to come by. Only the one scored in this final quarter. So for the Sydney boys to knock back, what would they need? 5 goals. It's going to be a tough ask.
Yes, a very tough ask it would be for AFL Sydney to get back in front.
I think
a very good amateur side.
The only sting left in this game is when the ball hits the
cold
hands.
fingers.
Yeah.
Watts punch from behind, Kay from Pearson. Pearson just seeing that one over the boundary line.
It's an interesting setup as well this weekend for the AFL Sydney players. Of course, there is no general bye for the rep weekend this weekend, so a lot of these players will be looking to back up on Monday as the round of football takes place in the AFL Sydney competition. So you can't help but think that some of them would maybe put in the queue in the rack at the moment to make sure that they don't get any niggling injuries and find themselves out for their club teams.
Wason tries to get a toe onto it, doesn't quite get there. Danger for AFL Sydney. Handley couldn't handle it, just came off the toe. Yeah, there might be 22 pretty sore blokes at work on Tuesday.
Particularly if the bit of weather comes in and there's a bit of a slog on Monday.
Could be a very tough Tuesday for a number of footballers. The AFL Sydney comp. Across the back, Remington. A bit of a show there from Ball. Handley, the target. Across the back was Fitzgerald. Keel, Wason. Across to Plant. Plant to Wilkie. Wilkie now with a kick. Good lead from Carey. Long way from home though. Carey to Elise Steer in the corridor. The big fly over Purse. Couldn't control it. Madden mops up. Now with Bull. Bull with a little chip finds he is extra everywhere. Is Lockie Ferguson.
Yes, well, this would be a fitting end to Lockie Ferguson's first senior game in the Big V. Should he put this one away? He's been a fine player all night.
Youngest player on the ground and one of the best, that's for sure. There's Lockie Ferguson. 1 goal, 1. Looks to get it out to 2. Shot on goal. Goal umpire doesn't move an inch. And Lockie Ferguson kicks his second.
You bring up a good point there, Michael. The boys wearing the Big V, one of the most recognisable uniforms in the AFL competition.
Invented by the amateurs back in 1925, the Big V.
There you go. My question to you, though, is what's your take on the AFL Sydney outfit? We're still not quite sure what it is that's wrapped around the centre of the midriff of the players.
It's the traditional 2 blues, isn't it, of the that Waratah sporting teams have been known, but it is a bit of a... It looks like a New Zealand tribal tattoo.
We don't question the colours. I'm not sure on the design, although they've been using it for a number of years now. We'll have to ask about the origins.
Goodall cleans that out to Collett. Collett has to come back. Couldn't get there in time. Comes away now. Summers, Madden. I tell you what, Lockie Ferguson once again on the receiving end of a great pass from Madden. Continue with the run through the centre here, the Vics. No slowing down. Handley was the target. Coming across and over the top. Disappointment here. Bull has slotted one over. They coughed it up there, Sydney, and Jack Bull was ready. And he kicks his first goal. As we just come up to the 23-minute mark, and the lead starts to blow out a little bit here.
Yeah, 38 points, biggest lead by a long way, as I think the players from New South Wales turn their eyes to Monday with this game well and truly in Victoria's grasp.
It's a bit of a shame that the margin has blown out as it has. We mentioned earlier that it was around that 20-point mark for much of the game, and both teams were still in it. But now, with the margin out to 38 points and no signs that the Vs are going to stop at any time as well. So hopefully the AFL Sydney boys can arrest this and make sure that the margin doesn't blow out too much further.
So Lee Steer and Neves go at it, nullify each other. Reset, bottom of the pack there, James Remington. Everyone just falls off him as he kicks it forward. Watts got
push
that time.
Played that well, Christian Pearson. Made sure he went to ground.
Fitzgerald turn it over, but through the hands there, couldn't control it, was Hill. Kalupis tries to get it off the boot. Hill getting back, helping out Ball. Madden on centre wing, gets off on a trot, sends it forward. Watts flies from in front, brings it to ground. Bull handballs back. Hill, little short pass. Good work getting back in the space there was Plant. Fitzgerald handballs back to Pearson. Pearson, dangerous pass through the hands of Rampy. Now it sits with Ball over the shoulder. Handley gives the handball away. Lockie Ferguson. A little bit of icing on the cake there for Lockie Ferguson as he kicks number 3.
Yeah, outstanding team play. You could see that coming. They got into trouble. Some lovely work front and centre of the pack by Jack Bull. And across it came to Handley, who I don't think wanted to turn around the night he's had. He gave it straight off to Ferguson, who kicked the goal.
Well, we're into 25 minutes now. The margin out to 44 points. Disappointing here for AFL Sydney. Just let it get away from them in this last quarter. Well done to the Vics. Very strong finish. 15-15, 105. Sydney 8-13, 61. Who have you liked, Michael? Who's been your key players?
Well, I think for Victoria, Watts and Ferguson for their games all night. I think Remington and Summers have had very good second halves as Jack Watts pushes it away to the right for another minus score. Jack Bull, very good. O'Sullivan, very good, I thought. And as you mentioned earlier, Zimbax and some of the others down the back. I think Rat Wintel's been pretty strong. For AFL Sydney, I like the game of Rampy. Price was good with a couple of goals. There was Broome looked very dangerous, but Zimbax has pretty much shut him down. And I think the best player on the night has been Carey.
Carey has worked hard up forward. Always got good mopping up from Plant, Conway. Collett's been good. Fitzgerald's been good in the back line, providing plenty of run. Craig White's worked hard as well.
I do, agree with you there, Dan. I think Ryan Plant's output has been fantastic tonight. He's worked his way around the ground and done some very good things. And Michael, Dane Rampy, probably one of the best out there for the AFL Sydney boys.
I think his effectiveness seems to have dropped a little bit with as the grounds become and the balls obviously become wetter.
The other one, I suppose, you're going to say Dan, Christian Pearson in the back line.
Yeah, absolute, really good game.
Done a very good job. on Handley for part of the night, and moving forward onto Watts as needed. Himself and Wason, the key back presence.
One player I think who hasn't really done what we would expect out there tonight is Kieran Wright. He's been very quiet.
Yeah, probably one of the quietest games of football I've ever seen Kieran play. Very good footballer in Sydney, just hasn't had the night he would normally expect. Brought to ground front and centre, but Ferguson was there. Continuing towards the goal line, Pearson will be happy to see that over, and just gets up before he collects the fence. Plays on quickly, Pearson. Straight up the centre, finds Craig White. White shows it as a second show, then gets it onto the left. He's got a target in Plant. Finds him, sorry, it was Conway. Lee Steer, back to Conway. He's got Collett running through, open arms. Goes long, and it's all the V's, but poor judgment. Broome just hustling around in front position. Handball comes from Baxter, and they're going to relieve themselves here of any pressure with O'Sullivan just outside defensive 50. The big fella through the centre. Neves couldn't control it. Keel spins out. Handball comes from Rampy to Collett, and that will be the ball game. Convincing winners. The Victorian Amateurs run out in an entertaining game of football. They got a little bit messy towards the end as it starts to get a little bit cold out here at Blacktown, and the dew started to settle. The final score, it was 15-18, 108. Sydney 8-13, 61. 47 points, the victors, the Vics. As we see some jumpers being changed in an entertaining game of football. Well, the Vics were just too good in that last quarter, and was solid all throughout that game. As far as their clearance work and stoppage work, they were just a step above.
Yeah, they were. A little bit, just a little bit of edge on most of the players. It started in the middle. I didn't mention the ruckman. I thought that Pearson Neves gave the Victorian on-ballers an armchair ride, and they really took it away from there and had winners all across the centre of the field.
Yeah, I agree. And we mentioned that the AFL Sydney team, we thought at the time they were doing very well to maintain that margin and not let the game get away from them, but you always got the sense that the Victorians were going to step up, and as they did in that final quarter, and really blew the margin out, 47 points in the end.
We'll have a look at the goal scorers for AFL Sydney. It was 2 apiece to Dane Rampy and Ryan Price, and singles to Broome, Conway, White and Carey. And over for the Amateurs, it was 3 apiece to Lockie Ferguson and Jack Watts. A double to Jackson Eade. Got a little bit quiet in the second half. And singles to O'Sullivan, Bull, Hill, Madden, Summers, Handley, and lucky last down the bottom there was Nick Roberts. So an entertaining day of football. Thanks for joining us throughout this day. 3 games of representative football, all very entertaining. And the culmination here was the Vics out in front by 47 points. And on behalf of Digital Sports, Craig Abercrombie, Michael Fitzgerald and Gary Birkinshaw, earlier the day, I'm Dan Johnston. We look forward to your company next time.